Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Umbrella Academy Season 1, Episode 6. It's called The Day That Wasn't.
Did you just have to think about what season this was?
No, I noticed my camera was badly framed, and I was like, I want to fix this, but I had to finish the intro
We had to
first.
get through the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll finish the intro
Oh,
and then fix it.
I was going, how are you hesitating on season?
Yeah, it wasn't what I was saying that was tripping me up, it was just another thought came into my head.
Okay, I'll let you off.
So, yeah, Day That Wasn't, full spoilers for the episode as always. So, it's fine. I never saw the title of this one before I watched it. Otherwise, I might have saw something that was coming at the end.
Yeah. Or would you have just kind of written it off?
Maybe I'd have forgotten what it was called by the time I got to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, the episode rewinds towards the end. Towards the end, now I will say the one thing I did kind of know is as soon as Cha got an order to kill Hazel.
Oh, you knew it was from 5.
Yeah, I was like, oh. Well, it wasn't so much as soon as she got it. It was when it cut to actually 5 at the place. I was like, wait a minute, 5's where they send the messages.
Yeah.
You know, it was as soon as I saw him in that building, I went, 5 sent that.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this is fine. So he's not actually just damned the whole world. He's actually just trying to do it from the inside. He's like, no, I'm going to get the intel on who's going to destroy the world. We're going to deal with it.
Yeah. He's smarter than he looks.
He is, and he's because he's introduced to the person whose case it is to work on the apocalypse stuff, and he steals her file, gets this name, and ends up knocking out the old woman who sends the messages and
Who
goes,
everyone loves.
yeah, goes sending. He actually ends up blowing. What was her name?
The handler.
The handler. Yes, not the recruiter. The handler was. We've discovered that's what she was referred to in this. So he blows up her with a grenade, and then he blows up all the time devices except one that he grabs first, so he can travel.
Yeah.
But he disables them from chasing him, and it goes back to the present day, which is conveniently, you know, we see the episode rewind. It goes back to this moment in the morning, early episode, and he pops in. It's like, hey, we need to save the world, and that's how the episode ends. Why did I start there? I don't know. We're obviously going to go back and talk about everything, but
Yeah. It's both frustrating and interesting.
I think it's interesting because the point of this episode is to kind of give everyone oddly. Not a happy ending, because it's not that everyone's as happy, because obviously Vanya finds the journal
It
and
puts them on the right path, though.
yeah, it
the
puts them
most
all on this right path, and then it's all taken away. So I think the idea that, you know, that Allison and Luther have these sweet moments. He discovers that his time in the moon was pointless. It was busy work to make him feel like he had a purpose. It wasn't worth anything. It wasn't for anything. It was just to keep him busy, and he's pissed at his father for that. And then Allison tries to cheer him up. You know, we get this little flashback of them hiding, you know, sneaking off to this little, like, you know,
Room in
den
the attic.
made,
That they got, yeah.
and they get caught and they're told never to come back here, and she takes him back up as an adult and says, hey, these drinks are still here. And I'm like, guys, these sodas have been sitting here for 20 years. Let's maybe not drink.
Yeah, they've got to be like crazy out of date. Do you know what the worst part is? She actually looks at the bottom of the can. I thought she's checking it, and then she's going, screw it. We're doing it anyway.
Sure, I'll be honest, even if I don't care about the date, if I have to blow a line of dust off the top of the can, I'm not drinking from it.
Yeah, I might let it slide if it was like a bottle, like a screw cap.
Sure. But it's a can, you put it up to your mouth. Yeah,
Yeah, no, exactly.
But so they spit it out. But it's just this kind of sweet moment. She's wearing the necklace that he bought her all those years ago, and it's just before she has to leave. They're out in the park or whatever, and he's eating the hot dogs, and they have this tender moment, and we get this elaborate dance number. Because he's like, hey, will you dance with me? And it turns into this, you know, the fairy tale version with all these lights, and he's normal sized, and she's in a dress.
In this different dress, and we got Dance in the Moonlight going on.
Yes,
Great song.
It's a fairly entertaining dance. There's a lot of comical bits in it. There was a lot of like really gimmicky kind of.
Yeah, goes on a while though, doesn't it?
It does go on a while. Again, much like the first episode with I think We're Alone Now. It was like most of the song.
Yeah, we're past the bridge. You know, we're going into the final chorus bit, and then it's like, okay, we'll leave it there.
Yeah, and then they end with kissing, and then it's the real world again, and they have kissed.
I really liked how the lights kind of raise up around them as they're kissing.
How much of that dancing they did, you know, in the real world? I'm curious. But
I hope all of it. It's just the pair of them looking like idiots with no music.
But you know, they're kissing, and he's like, "Hey, we should have done that a long time ago." And I like the idea that. Yeah, if we believe the world's ending in 3 days, we should probably just stop pretending and just be happy for a couple of days. Do you know what I like about this relationship, actually? I think they have really good chemistry.
They do. Yeah.
And I think this episode really showed me that. It was like, it's not so much that it's the best written romance of all time or anything like that. They just have really good chemistry.
That's good enough, though, isn't it?
It is. So she's like, hey, we need to catch that plane. And he's like, we? He's like, yeah, come on. And he goes off with her to get the plane. So they've got this happy ending. And do you know what's funny? Like, when the episode rewound later on, I was like, this explains it. Because I was actually thinking in that scene as they walked off, like, this is a weird place for them to be in episode 6. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I assumed something bad was going to happen at the airport or something would draw them back in, but it felt like a weird place to leave them on in episode 6. But then the rewind happens. It's like, oh, okay, now we're seeing how they really feel about each other, and now it goes back in the bottle. So we know
yeah,
that they're going to be
it's this
weird.
thing that because now they're actually going to be focused on stopping the apocalypse, this is never going to come out, and it's a what could have been sort of.
And Vanya discovers the journal. Leonard's being creepy. He steals one of the little figurines in the mansion.
Yeah, we see what is now pretty clear her power, but there was a moment still where I'm like, you're like, is this him manipulating her, right?
Yeah, I'm still debating the shimmer itself. Like, I'm wondering, because the shimmer went going back to the house.
There was no shimmer this time, was there?
No, because there was no shimmer this time. Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking the shimmer itself might have been something else. Yeah. But, she's walking down the street, she's angry because she was left out of the team meeting, and she's like, no, I've been left out my whole life, so it turns out you're the assholes, not just Dad. And she's walking down the street with Leonard, and it's pouring a rain, and the cars are all, like, shaking in the back. And I noticed this, the cars are shaking in the background. Yeah, you
hear the creaking of, like, the lampposts.
Yeah, and then she turns around at the end, and, like, all the lampposts have all bent inwards, all towards her, essentially. It's as if they're all drawn towards her. And then the rain stops. Like, he says, this was you that did this. And she's like, don't be silly, this wasn't me. And she's calming down and the rain just stops. And she's like, that was a coincidence. And she looks up.
Yeah.
I think what confirms that there is at least partly of this is her is the journal. When we see, like...
It is. Yeah. Because at that point, you're going, is this him doing the power and manipulating her into thinking it's, putting that into her head?
Because we see in the job, we don't get to see a lot of it. We just see there's some key phrases that stick out. There's keep her sedated. There's she can never know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Too dangerous.
Too dangerous. Yeah, just key things. We don't get quite get
pretty
to see
much
what the power
what
is.
we've been saying.
Yeah, it was one of the main things we were guessing last episode as to what her power was. And my theory that she's actually somehow going to be the one that causes the destruction. So in order to save the world, her family have to like reconnect with her, so she's not like upset. That's essentially what has to happen. Yeah,
it goes back to that last line, last episode with the handler being like, "Are you sure you want me to save all your family?"
Yeah, but it also ties in thematically with the start of this one, where Luther's like, "No, the Umbrella Academy has to be together. We all have to be together for this to work." And I think there is a nice kind of sentiment here that ultimately to save the world, all they have to do is be close again and be a unit.
Not be awful people.
Not be awful and disconnected with each other. Because every time it comes up, because even this episode again reminded me of like 2 or 3 when the attack in the house happened, and in this one, Alison wants to go after it to try and explain to her, and it's Luther this time. It's not Diego, because last time it was Diego, but Luther says, "No, there's no time. This is kind of serious." So even though he's obviously nicer than Diego, he's like, "No, there's no time to deal with her feelings. We have to save the world." Like the irony.
You can understand, right?
Yeah, but I like the irony that, like, because they keep dismissing her like this, is why the world's in danger. I like that touch.
And it makes it really believable, because him going that, he doesn't come across like a dick or anything like that.
No,
he's like, no, world's ending in 3 days. We can talk to her after.
Yeah. So we've got this name. That's all we have. Because the episode ends literally with them saying, "Who's this asshole?" And Five's like, someone.
Yeah.
Someone who somehow is going to taking him out will save the world, basically.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, because we see that not all of them are that competent at their jobs.
That's true.
Because there's the guy who's at the desk next to Five, who's clearly been on the same case for a long time.
Yes. So, no, I mean, like, the main plot stuff, I mean, I still think the episodes feel a bit long. Like, I think this one, again, I felt a little bit of length.
This one felt worse than the last few, because it was, again, back to very separate threads for everyone, rather than being paired up.
Yeah. Because you got Five in the base, and he's talking to the handler, and there's all sorts of little things that she knows he's up to something, and he's trying to hide it, and that's kind of the gist of what's happening. He solves the Hindenburg case, like it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, making sure that it does blow up.
Yeah.
Again, it went interesting in that it was like, it didn't feel like evil here again to me. It felt very pragmatic of, no, this is what's supposed to happen. Um, except sometimes it doesn't.
I think it's notable though that very few things that they're doing seems to be like they all seem to be bad things they're making sure happen.
That we see, yeah, it's true.
There's not been anything like, oh, we have to make sure penicillin's invented.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because obviously this was, the Hindenburg, and there was a reference to World War One being started.
Yeah, and obviously we've had various other the end of the world. We've had JFK, like all these things. It all seems to be bad things they're making sure happen.
Yeah,
which is interesting to me.
it is interesting, but I'm kind of wondering, is it no? These bad things have to happen for a reason, right? Maybe it's like, there's something at the end of it that we don't know yet. She's constantly talking about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering,
but why is there
if
no
there
good
actually
things? Why is there no good things in Jeopardy?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's all fishy. I'm just saying it's fishy.
It is fishy. I'm not disputing that it's the whole thing. The whole organization's kind of fishy.
It's very fishy. So we have Cha-Cha, who can't quite go through with killing Hazel until she discovers he's having an affair with the woman from the donut shop, and then she decides to kill him. But when she comes out of the bathroom, she sees a note that was sent to him to kill her. So it's clear that Five sent one to each of them.
Yeah, and I was really glad of this. Especially we saw Five put them in different tubes, right?
Yeah.
Because she opens one of the tubes. It's in in the fridge or whatever it is, out by the beds. I'm like, hang on, I thought it was in the shower.
Different room.
Yeah, I thought it was what?
It's a different room.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't realize they had one in each room though. Like, before it was the tube in the shower, right? Like in the panel.
This is the third room at least they've been in.
Yeah.
Because the whole joke at the start is when they're coming in and she's like, "Don't complain." It's because he complained in the start of the last two. This is the third room they've been in because the last two have been wrecked.
Yeah. I just assumed it was always in the same place.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's going on. So we kind of end that there. But again, everything's rewound. We see them break down. We see them be pitted against each other, but that all rewinds. Vanya finds the book at the end and sees some of the truth here that her father was keeping from her. And why does Leonard have this book? She didn't get a chance to ask him, but she's clearly suspicious at this point. The time rewinds.
Be, right?
Yeah. Diego is with Klaus, and Klaus is we get some flashbacks. We see him arrive in Vietnam.
We do. He just pops up in there, and they're like, "Right, come on, then, get going." And
it's literally in Vietnam. It's not like he just goes back to like the US in the '60s and then he goes to Vietnam. No, he just pops into a tent in Vietnam.
Yeah, and they're like, "All right, come on, get your trousers on."
Yeah, and we see some of his romance with this guy Dave. And he wants to become clean. We see him pouring his drugs down the toilet, and he's like, "Hey, Diego, can you tie me up? Because the cleanest I've ever been is when I was tied up to a chair. So take away options." And he's all very strong-willed about it until he has to like get untied to pee, and then he's getting tied up again. And Diego's not very happy about any of this, might we add. And he's like, "No, maybe I need one last hit to make it go." And Diego has to punch him in the balls to keep him sitting down. And then he ties him up.
Does the trick though, doesn't it?
And he's going to go after Hazel and Cha-Cha, but he gets distracted because he sees Mother. Because no one knows she's back up yet.
She's just kind of been walking around, I guess.
Yeah. And he checks her arm, and he's asking about stuff, and she doesn't remember anything. The last night she remembers was a week ago. And he's like, "Do you remember anything else?" And she looks over his shoulder to Pogo, and Pogo's like, And she's like, "No, nothing."
Nothing. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah. But she's like, "Nah, maybe we should go to the park. It's a nice day." So Diego ends up taking her to the park because before she was never allowed to leave the house.
Yeah, she's never done this before.
Yeah. It's like, "No, Dad's dead. You can do whatever you want now. So let's go to the park."
And at the park, she's like, "Do you know what? Me and Pogo have been lying to you. The shit you need to know."
Yeah, he never quite get. I mean, maybe she did tell him before the rewind, and we just didn't get to hear it.
See it.
But we never get to hear what the secret was.
Yeah.
So, but the idea that he knows there was a secret at the very least, and then time rewound. Yeah. So it was a very interesting episode in that sense, as it was showing you at the place that things could go. And I noted that the next episode's called The Day, because this one's called The Day That Never Was. That's what I said. The Day That Wasn't. The next one's called The Day That Is, or Day That Was. Yeah, The Day That
clever.
Was. So yeah, they've sort of named them in a fun way, where it's the same day again, but obviously things are going to be different because 5 comes back.
I've been enjoying the names of these episodes actually. Like episode 5 being number 5.
Yeah.
Clever. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Episode 4.
Oh, yeah, Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they've been solid.
Monopoly in the Game of Life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's play checkers, let's play chess. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You done?
Sure. Oh dear.
I regret bringing this up.
Oh, episode 8 should be interesting.
Why? What's it called?
I heard a rumor.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so this has been a shorter discussion than the rest of them, actually. I think it's because it was so...
It was. Here's these things that could have been. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going forward, right? It's no. Here's the what could have been a happy ending for most of them. You know, Klaus getting clean.
Yeah, because obviously he wants to see his, who's his Dave, basically. And, like, he does eventually get to see him.
Yeah, and it's like, well, is he going to get clean next time?
Yeah. So, Vanya gets some elements of the truth that she's never had before.
Yeah, which I suspect now it'll be, okay, she's not going to find out for a bit longer.
Yeah. But hey, I don't know, I think the plot's actually firing all cylinders. I just wish the pacing was a bit tighter. I was thinking during this episode that maybe there's nothing plot-wise I would cut out. I would just give them 2 extra episodes, but shave 10 minutes off every episode.
I think that would have helped. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you'd have to rewrite it to make it work in the new format.
But most episodes would easily slip into that, where you just take a couple of the plot threads of the characters, cut them entirely, and put them in the next one.
Yeah. I think putting this to 12 episodes and just making all the episodes be 50 minutes instead of an hour would have helped a lot, I think. But it's not a big deal, but it's just every so often I feel it a little bit when I'm watching it.
Yeah, you get to a point in the episode where you is this not done yet? Because so much is happening with all the different characters.
Yeah,
it feels really densely packed of the time as well. So it feels like that it's longer than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So bizarrely, I'm saying there should be 2 or 3 more episodes, but I'm saying that the runtime of the season should be the same. It just spread it out so they're in shorter bites, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. But that's episode 6, the day that wasn't. So you can let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can do that over there. Otherwise, that is us though. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?